Hi, welcome to another video. This is another reading experience slash review spoiler filled for a book, and this book is The Hexologists by Josiah Bancroft, right? Yeah, okay, Bancroft. This is my first ever Josiah Bancroft book. This is the first book in, I believe, a new trilogy, and yeah, I enjoyed it. I think it was fun. I didn't love it, but I think it was pretty fun. So for now, I'm just gonna roll some clips of the reading experience, and then at the end I will talk more about the entire book with spoilers added, everything, and some thoughts, what I liked, what I didn't. These two guys are burying a body, and Iz and Warren want to see the body because they're investigating whatever. I'm not going to give too much of that, but basically this is world building through dialogue, and it's talking about what powers the homes. Basically, like, what is their form of electricity is what I'm imagining, but they're talking about how it's taken, so it's like, what is it? It's like a portal that opens to like a hell-ish place, and if you take wood from their world, burn it like through that portal, I'm literally imagining like marshmallow roasting over a fire pit. And so they're just like holding it over the portal to hell, and then they have other guys who have to fight off the monsters trying to come in from hell, but if they burn it, it turns into fuel in their world, which is like electricity, which is really cool. But the guy that they're burying is he is one of the people that fights off the monsters while they're baking their marshmallow, I don't know, log that turns into fuel and energy. And he got, I guess they said, grabbed by something, and now he's been turned into lava. And I love how this guy says, because so there's one kid burying a hole in the graveyard, and then the older guy who's reading off the report, and the older guy says, I'm paraphrasing, the technical term they have here is irradiated plasmic silicon, but I saw inside the coffin for one of these poor sots years ago, and I thought, that's lava. That's just a trough full of lava. And it never hardens. That's the other thing he said. He said it's more of a puddle of fire that doesn't ever really cool off. It's not safe to keep around. Okay, so The Hexologists. Honestly, I want to be able to say that I know everything that happened in this book, but I kind of can't, and here's why. The main reason is, it is a mystery. I have a very hard time sometimes keeping up with mysteries, mostly because I have theories, and as I'm reading sometimes, I think my theories are still happening in the book, so sometimes I don't fully understand. Two, this book has a style of writing that is extremely purple, like it's just very prosy, so sometimes I didn't quite understand what I was reading. I had to reread sentences sometimes. I did pick up the audiobook eventually because I was like, dude, I need help. And this book has a very, very cool, intricate world. Like, there were certain details to the fantastical world and elements of the book that I was so caught up in it sometimes that I don't think I really paid attention to what the story was. So basically the Hexologist starts off with this couple in this house. So you have Isol, oh my gosh, her name is Iz, okay? Her name is Iz. We're gonna stick with that. We have Iz and Warren Wilby. They are married. It's a beautiful relationship. I think they are so adorable. Although I do feel like I would have appreciated a little more about their relationship and how it came to be, but whatever. And they're in their house and they have a guest who is asking for their help, because what they do is they investigate and they help different things that are more of a magical nature. So the very weird things, they're just very accustomed to it. And this guy is here telling them that the king wants to be baked into a cake. And Iz and Warren are just like, okay, and? And I think that is such a great introduction to a book, because the guy is like, I just told you that your king wants to be baked into a cake and your answer is, okay, and? And they're like, yeah, we've heard weirder. And what ends up happening is that meeting gets interrupted by a mandrake that gets just portaled into their house, and it causes a whole ruckus. And they realize that, like, okay, there's something going on. Normally they wouldn't help any kind of aristocracy or, you know, nobles. They don't want to do that because they're like, no, we help the people. But they're like, there's something fishy going on, so sure, let's look into it. I don't even really know how to explain what actually happened, but basically, I think this is what it is, okay? If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments, because I might have to reread this book again. The king had a friend, I guess, a duke, who impregnated a woman who was part of a different family, Larkland or something, and the king wanted to help her as much as he could, but they had to keep it under wraps, because if it came out that he was helping her, she would then suffer the consequences of potentially being called, like, you know, a whore or something for having slept with the king and carrying a bastard child or whatever. But the child is actually from a duke, and the duke and the king got into an argument because the duke didn't want to support her, and the king was like, fuck you, and then she ended up, I think, stabbing the duke. That's like the whole reveal at the end, sort of the mystery. But the way we get there is I'm gonna fuck up her name so much. Is a very, how would I call this? Like, people think she's cold, which I kind of would agree with. She's very task-minded. She's not going to get very emotionally involved. She wants answers, right? And she will do almost anything to get those answers. And some of the things she does to get the answers were actually really cool. And those were the parts that kind of built into the world, which I thought was super cool. I want to say so much about it because I think my favorite part of the book was the world. So hexologists and alchemists are accepted magic users, I guess, but wizards and necromancers are not, and they have kind of just been eradicated. Although Iz has a friend who is a warlock, and he just lives among people, but he doesn't show his magic at all, and his house was really cool. He had a pet kraken inside of a bowl, I think. I don't know. It was very weird. And then there was a moment where they went to go visit the cemetery because they wanted to go find, well, who is this woman? And they found her grave plot. It was a different name. Like, yeah, so the woman who was pregnant, she went through a bunch of different names because she was hiding her identity. They found her plot, but you learn that oh god, I'm going all over the place with this book. It's so freaking hard to explain this one because the way the investigation moved was that first they investigated I don't even know what they first investigated. I think first they looked into the king's business, maybe? I don't even remember what it was. I honestly don't remember how we got from one point to the other point, but the point is they wanted to find out how the duke died and where the woman was, and they found her plot, I think, or his. No, not his. I don't know, because he was said to have died in battle, but that wasn't true. She killed him, and they just covered it up. And you meet these people at the graveyard who are just talking about this guy who got turned into lava, because the way that the city is powered is essentially through burning wood from their world in a portal to another world, where it catches fire, and then the log that is on fire from the other portaled world is then serves as fuel for them.
but there are monsters that come through the portal, so they have people who fight off those monsters. Honestly, there were things that I'm just like, I'd be so much more interested to see things like that. I really was not interested in anything that had to do with the king and him wanting to be baked into a cake, or his friend who was pregnant, and the fact that potentially there was an heir to the throne, even though the king never took a wife or whatever. And it turns out that the guy who came to see Warren and Iz in their house asking them for help for the king, he is the steward, I think, was it, or secretary. He was actually the son of the woman who had the affair with the duke, and he didn't know that his father was the duke. He thought his father was the king, so he was trying to kill the king, I believe. I don't even remember anymore. Oh my god, I literally just finished the audiobook and I barely remember. Was that what it was? Right, and then there was Princess Constance, which is the sister of the king. She played Iz real well, because the sister of the king, Constance, she advocates for hexology because a lot of people want to get rid of magic. They just don't see the use of it anymore. Now that the city functions off of this fuel from another world, / not really, they don't see the point of magic anymore. But the princess, she advocates for hexology, she advocates for alchemy. Turns out she's actually a sorceress, which a sorcerer or sorceress are people who can use all of the magics. They can be hexologists, wizard, necromancer, alchemist, all of the above, which is really cool, and I really think I needed a little more on that. Maybe it was explained and I just didn't understand it fully. Where am I going with this? Right, so Constance she's a sorceress. Is she a sorceress or was it another sorcerer? I'm pretty sure she was the sorceress. Yeah, because so she didn't want any of this stuff leaking about the son in illegitimate child / not really illegitimate child. And the guy who tried to do all this was the adoptive father of the orphaned kid of the woman who had the affair with the duke. I'm sorry, this is getting really confusing. I hope you're following along. But so he was kind of trying to get his adoptive son to be the prince, and Constance was like, no dude. And he said, well, I didn't really want him on the throne, I wanted you to be our empress. And she's like, bitch, if I wanted to be empress, I would be. I don't need your help. So I'm kind of interested in her, because I'm just like, if you're a sorceress and you have all this power, why don't you become the empress? Like, what is your goal? Because now she murdered him, and I'm just like, I don't know. But yeah, the point is that a lot of very interesting world things happen. Like Warren and Iz, they walk through a weird death plane of memories, and that happened. And then there's so many there's spores that are the reason why the king wanted to be baked into a cake, because I guess it's like fungus that thrives in fire, something like that. It was really cool. It was really, really cool. The mystery was interesting, but it definitely wasn't my favorite part. The world was probably my favorite part, and then the characters, Warren and Iz, I just wanted a little bit more. I absolutely love Warren. Warren is the definition of a teddy bear. He's massive. He's big. Apparently he used to be a boxer, which was mentioned for I don't know, a paragraph, which again, I would have liked to have learned a little more about their relationship. And then there was the topic of Iz's dad who disappeared. I thought that was going to be more prominent. So my point is that it was very cool. There were a lot of elements in this book that were very interesting, but I felt like certain things were brought up that potentially would have been a lot more intriguing and would have been a lot more gripping if they had been incorporated more, because the thing about her dad I thought was going to be bigger. Turns out it just gets turned into maybe Iz is just so adamant about finding answers because her dad left and disappeared and potentially is dead, but she never got any full answers, and that's it. I was like, dang, I was kind of hoping that there was gonna be a haha, daddy's not dead. And then Iz and Warren too, I was like, I like their dynamic, but I'm not getting enough of it. There were some really adorable, hilarious, and truly romantic moments between them that felt very genuine of a married couple, but almost sometimes a little too perfect. You know what I'm saying? And the wizard that Iz knew, I guess he did love her and she betrayed him, and I don't know, it's almost too cliched. Sometimes the characters felt too cliched. They felt too cartoonish, where I was like, I need a little more conflict going on, because Warren almost felt too silly at times, where I was like, listen, just because he's sensitive and he cries and he does these things and he bakes and he cooks, he's clearly a great husband, but can he not do a little more than just be a brute and a sensitive heart? can there not be a little more? And why does she always have to be the one who has to find the solution, who has to have the idea, the plan, the thing, and do the thing and do this? And I'm just like, I don't know. I felt like there wasn't a good enough balance, I guess. The book felt a little imbalanced to me. That's it. But other than that, it was good. I don't know if I will continue the trilogy if it does come out. I'm definitely not going to buy the books. I borrowed it from my library, obviously. You can see the stickers. Yeah, I don't know if I will read the rest of it. Maybe I will. I don't know. It depends. Also, the audiobook is quite good. And the general vibes of this book are definitely very like 1920s industrial era. The like ballroom dance stuff things. I forget what it's called, but yeah. That type of style is what I saw a lot of. And then the very posh English. I can see why some people would not enjoy this book because of the writing. It is very wordy. I still found it very humorous, but it definitely was really hard for me to read. Picking up the audiobook helped a lot. So yeah, that's it for that. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you didn't, then that's your prerogative, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!